February 25th, 2026. Chairperson Mary Sullivan will give us an update on where we're at.
Good evening. I'm Mary Sullivan, City of Darien, Alderperson, Ward 5. I serve as your chairperson for the Administrative Finance Committee, and tonight we are conducting a committee of a whole. This is to review the budget for Darien's fiscal year 27. This is our second meeting with city alderpersons, our mayor, treasurer, city clerk, administrator, senior staff, our police chief and deputy chief jump present. We will continue to review, discuss, and conduct Q&A and come to a consensus on the budget. The document you have all received has been a collaborative effort by the mayor, the administrator, the treasurer, city staff, and our police chief. Tonight is the second in a series of meetings, with the end goal being to have a public hearing on the budget and the city council vote to approve on Monday, April 6th. Tonight, we will begin with the police budget. After that, we will move to the Darien Business Alliance and community events, water, MFT, and SSA funds. We will wrap up the evening with the reflection back on some of the outstanding questions and items from last meeting. We made amazing progress last week, and I hope to conclude the review process of the entire budget tonight. If for some reason we do not accomplish that, we will then take time on Monday, March 2nd, which is our next city council meeting, to wrap things up. Many items in this year's budget were discussed in our goal-setting session last fall, and additionally, there are project carryovers from the current fiscal year. All city council members received this budget along with summary pages and supporting documents well in advance. A follow-up agenda memo was issued by Administrator Vanna on Monday, February 23rd, and some other handouts were given out this evening as backup to some of the outstanding items from last week. All this information has been published on our City of Darien website. These meetings are being broadcast on Channel 6 and also available on the City of Darien website and our YouTube channel. Mayor Marquez, do you have anything else to add?
No.
Treasurer Corn?
Not at this time.
Administrator Vanna?
Nothing, and I'm sorry, I was looking at my computer. I don't know if you mentioned Alderman Stampanato's not here.
Right, so absent tonight due to illness is Alderman Stampanato, and Alderman Kenny just had an emergency that he had to leave quickly for. So we are missing two alder people this evening.
I have nothing else other than that.
Okay, great. Well, with no further ado, we will turn things over to our police chief, Greg Thomas, and our deputy chief, Austin Jump, to cover the police department budget. If there's anything you want, any kind of overview you want to give us before we start going through the various pages. We are starting on hard copy, page 89.
I don't have anything really prepared, but I do have one answer that was raised, I think at last full city council meeting by Alderman Rogansky, who asked about the equitable sharing fund. I took a look. We have 2.36 million in seized assets sitting in that fund. With I think I explained last time, there's off the top goes right to the DEA, and then there's a division of based on percentage of how involved the agency was, our agency, and how involved other agencies were, and those type of things. So just doing the minimum math on 2.36 million, minimally we would be getting 188, almost $189,000 out of that seized funds that are sitting in either the U.S. Treasury or Department of Justice. So just a follow up to that, just to
Thank you, Chief.
close the loop on that question.
Alderman Sullivan, I don't know if everybody's familiar with the.
I was just going to ask for an education on,
Yeah,
that's just not money that we can use towards anything.
Yeah, that's the question.
Yeah, it's equitable sharing funds again is the funds that our task force officer that's assigned to the DEA frequently seizes proceeds used by drug dealers and the like, and those funds are then go into a deposit in Washington, and then throughout the process there's some type of court hearing that determines whether or not those seized funds are then forfeited. And when there's forfeited, then there's a check that comes to us. Equitable sharing funds are used for any number of things, and the biggest thing is not to supplant any type of funding. So you can't take something out of the budget and then say, I'm gonna buy this with those funds. And the other thing that they look at is that, they have in their head, budgets are gonna rise by X amount over the years. So if we have 10 million last year and all of a sudden we have 8.9 million this year, and then we're using equitable sharing funds, they're gonna look at that as supplanting as well. So as long as we're not supplanting, equitable sharing funds can be used for a lot of different things.
Can you give us a few examples of what we've used them for in the past?
I got a list. We purchased canines a couple different times. We purchased weapons. We've purchased the license plate recognition. We purchased the drones, some cars, a bunch of different things over time.
Right.
Quite a bit of money. I think when I came here, there was right around 300,000. And I think we're down to about $7,000 in that account. So we, the body worn cameras, the fleet cameras, the tasers, and the evidence.com. And I'm missing one from Axon, drew that down quite a bit.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief, on those purchases where you're using those funds, if it's something that, has a useful life of 3 years, let's say for warranties, we may have to pick that up at some point, some ancillary expenses on.
Well, usually not warranties, but this year's budget is is a good example of what you're trying to say. So the equitable sharing funds, we front loaded that so that they purchased, like for license plate recognition, body worn cameras was a 4-year cycle. So we're at the end of that 4-year cycle. So now anything relative to the body worn cameras would now be out of the budget because we've already exhausted the equitable sharing funds, and we shouldn't go back and purchase them again from equitable sharing funds. That should go into the regular budget. Same as license plate recognition, the tasers, and some other things that we've purchased. So the budget this year has gone up because we have exhausted the equitable sharing funds.
Very good.
Good one.
So we'll go ahead and start with the summary overview page, hard copy 89 of the police department budget, and then obviously with the supporting documents following. So starting off with account 4010, salaries. Is there any questions on salaries? No? Okay, we'll move.
Well, just that
Okay,
overtime has already exceeded what we budgeted, and we're budgeting again for 27, a slight increase, but should we be budgeting more for overtime?
That's a good question. There's a number of things that drove the cost of overtime this budget cycle. We were down about 6 officers, and then we were down another 4 officers either through some type of either workman's comp, light duty, or self-sick, extended self-sick. So we were hiring a lot of overtime. Currently, we are down 3 officers with the hiring of 2 in April, mid-April, and 1 in the beginning of May, which will bring us to fully staff. Also by that time, 3 of the 4 officers that are in training should be released from training, and all 3 of the officers that are on light or restricted duty or off should be returning to duty. So hopefully, if we can maintain that, then we wouldn't need a change in the overtime.
So the 587 we're budgeting should be sufficient as long as we don't have the same type of
Exactly.
issues again.
Correct.
Historically, we have been under on the overtime. It's just this last year with these special circumstances that we've gone over, so I'm comfortable
Well,
with
because
that.
for this year, for the budget, I mean, you had put in 4.7 and it never happened. So is that just the people didn't get hired in time, or I think the people we thought were gonna be hired didn't really get started in
But
time?
it's just a process and, for example, the last list, I believe there was 33 on that list. Out of that 33, we hired 2. And we had to go through each one of those individuals. We had to do the polygraph, wait for the polygraph to be done. Then when that gets done and it passed, we would send them on to psych. If they didn't pass, then we'd have to go to the next person, start the polygraph process again. Once they passed the psych, then we would send them on to background, and that's a long process. So getting through that process, very long and tedious. I think this is the second year I've seen a very significant rise in the number of individuals that are failing the psych. So we're doing a lot of people at the polygraph, sending them on to psych, failing on the psych, and starting that process all over again. So, like I said, 2 out of 30 or 2 out of 33 was an ugly timeframe for us, so.
Do the
This is a
psych
brand
test
new
first.
list, and we're started off with 1 through 5. The first 3 are at background already and passed everything, so. I don't know what that says about the last list or says about this list.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions on salaries? Civilians, salaries, officers, salaries combined. Okay, and then we talked about overtime. Any more questions on overtime? Okay, we'll hop into benefits.
I've got a comment on that. I guess it's addressed more to Julie. I asked this last week also, but medical insurance went from 504,000 to 591. I know with respect to the other departments, you said you've done basically an accounting of the individuals, and you're comfortable with the 591? That's about almost a 20% increase.
Our insurance rates come July are going up, I think 19%,
19.4.
so that is gonna be pretty accurate.
Also in the police department, I think there was 3, maybe 4 that went from single to family, so you're jumping from, I forget what the single is, 7,000 to 20,000, or whatever that number is, times 4, so that was a significant jump for us, as well as the increase.
Rate increase.
Rate.
Anyone want to talk about pension? Do we dare?
It's an actuarial
Right, yeah.
number that's given to us, and
Oh,
I
we're
think
so
almost
familiar.
every city council meeting, we talk about it, so.
And at this point in time, we don't see any changes. Mike, any,
Well, I wouldn't
with the state,
anticipate it.
with the combined, the,
The good news is last year
Consolidated.
was a great year in the stock market.
right.
So our returns, we've got a meeting tomorrow night on that, so hopefully the returns will hold up and could improve things, but we still have an unfunded liability of about $20 million, and it's supposed to be 90% funded by 2040. So the ramp is just going to increase that, even if the return goes up. So, I mean, Brian, I think, has reflected some very reasonable numbers in there as far as projections, so, and even though the market may be good last year, if you remember when the actuary comes in, remember we're on a 5-year smoothing, so we had 2 real bad years that we didn't have to take the hit all at once, where those are being spread over 5 years. So last year was a little bit better, but that's being spread over 5 years. So even if the current year is better than anticipated, then that's gonna be spread over 5 years also. So, I wouldn't expect anything dramatically better if you're looking for anything better. I would just assume a continual ramp up in that. And we don't know what Springfield will do to us, if anything, as far as changes they might make, but Joe probably knows better on that one.
We've had legislative meetings and we've talked to state legislators, IML. We talked to Brad Cole just last Friday. And there's a lot of belief that the governor will not accept any change with regard to Tier 1, Tier 2. if anything does happen, it would happen in the veto session and not during the spring session. So right now, it looks like things will remain the same, but we have to be cautious because you never know what Springfield, what they might do.
That's valid. Okay. Any more questions on benefits? Operating. Any questions on operating? Okay. Investigation and equipment. There is some backup there on the range and LPR. Any questions on those items? Okay. Moving on to liability insurance. There's also backup on prosecution. Okay, moving on to maintenance and equipment.
Can I go back to
Absolutely.
prosecution for a second? Deputy Chief Jump did a lot of work on that. Next, I don't know, is it next, Police Committee meeting will be coming forward with some changes to that item, and the current city prosecutor is retiring June 1, so we're gonna, or June 24, somewhere in there. Anyway, we'll be replacing her, so anyway, that's gone through that process. The bigger change and more is Austin looked at prosecuting low-level driving while under the influence cases locally. Those funds would come to us versus the state's attorney's office. And so the hope is that there would be a larger revenue based off of DUI enforcement, but we'll have to implement and see how it goes.
So basically, we won't be going to Wheaton, we'll be doing it here.
No, we'll go to Wheaton.
Go to
The
Wheaton.
prosecution is just done by our city prosecutor versus state's attorney's office.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that, to set up all those cases to, 4,000 traffic cases to go from Wheaton to somehow Courier here, they have a stenographer here, the judge, the hearing officer, all those things. Austin looked into that very well, just cost prohibitive and not as good as what we're currently doing.
Chief, real quick, back on the liability insurance. I know in admin, at the last meeting, we saw that huge increase to 300,000, and I thought all departments were included in that number, Mike. But now on this liability insurance too, we're seeing almost a doubling with the request from 26 to 27. Is it the same 5-year?
I believe that's covered, go ahead, Brian, it's covered.
The liability insurance that we pay to Irma, our premiums, that comes out of one budget in the general fund and one line item in the water fund. But all the departments have some liability insurance that might be for deductibles, attorney's fees, all the items that are listed in the
So
detail.
this is separate.
Yeah, so what we
So
talked
why are we
about,
saying why are we thinking it's doubling? We requested 111,000 from 51.
the deductibles are from 2,500 to, I'm sorry, to
5,000.
5,000 now.
Per incident.
So I don't know if the,
And it's the prosecution that the chief just explained, the
Yes.
45,000 is going in there this year, which last year we had 16,000 in that account. So that's up $30,000, changing that method.
Okay.
So that changing the deductible, was that something we did, Brian? Was that our choice?
they did it for the whole organization.
January 1st.
Usually when you raise your deductible, doesn't your insurance go down?
Yeah, but we went through that explanation last week about the 5-year, and that really hasn't changed, so yes, we've
No, I
increased.
get it, so, but is this a 5-year thing as well in the police side?
Yeah, the police, like Brian said, it's all under the general fund administration budget, so that number reflects the police as well as the other departments in there.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
And then one quick comment before we leave 4219, the last item, AED replacement. Those were replaced about every 7 to 10 years, and we replaced those about 3 years ago. So it's really a placeholder. Whether you want it in or out doesn't really matter, because Austin will remember buying them in 10 years.
Well, if there's an expense over the next 3 years, we can add it. If not, we'll take that
There's
line out.
not one in the next 3 years.
There's not, so we'll take that line out.
Any more questions on 4219 liability insurance? Okay. Maintenance equipment, 4225. Any questions on that?
Just a comment, the 250 discretionary that frontline citizen reporting, what that does is an attempt to allow citizens to log into Frontline and complete a police report of whatever nature, that they woke up and their car tires were flattened. They can go in and do that on their own. That's the reason why that's discretionary.
Thank you. Any more questions on maintenance equipment? Maintenance vehicles.
There's a new item for the Axon fleet cameras. Is that what you were addressing
That's
previously,
exactly
Chief?
what I was addressing, yep.
Okay.
So is that replacement of cameras or
No, it's
not
maintenance.
maintenance
Maintenance
or
of the current
software
fleet.
maintenance and things like that?
Exactly.
Any more questions on the remaining items on page 91? Postage, printing, public relations, rent, supplies, office, training, education. Okay, with that being said, we will then turn to page 92, starting at the top, 4265, travel and meetings. Any questions on travel and meetings? Okay, telephone? Uniforms? Okay, wrapping up that area, utilities and vehicle. Any questions? Okay. Then we'll jump to contractual services, consulting professional services. Any questions on 4325?
Well, woman, just, if I could
Yes.
ask the chief or Austin, just cover the EOP consulting. I think that's important, it's really helpful to mention that.
Sure, the emergency operations plan is a big ugly animal that's probably 3 volumes, 3 inches thick, and Austin doesn't want to do the work. No, it is just a ton of work that has to be done. I think, I can't remember her name, Mary? Anyway, she did it a number of years. It has to be redone every year. The current fiscal year we're in now, 2026, we have identified a new person to do that. The state is behind in getting their work done, so we may not be paying that full 15 grand this year because they're not there. 2027, my guess is that they will finish the work that they are supposed to be done now, plus they will do more work for 2027, so there'll be that much more work for the, Kevin or Keith?
Keith
Keith, to get done for fiscal year 2027, which this is requested.
Any more questions on EOP consulting? Okay. Next up, there are 4337, DUMEG, Merit, Child Center. Any questions? Obviously, we have the social worker in there.
The social worker, was 85,000 last year, went up to 95,000 this year. I think we went live with her around June-ish or so. We did not see an invoice from NEDFIS, which is the agency that employers are, and then sends her to us, because there was a grant that was written and some other things that had occurred. So we'll nowhere near be that 85,000. NEDFIS is also good that they write the grant and they manage the grant. And so that's a cost or an opportunity cost that we don't have to do and manage that grant. I'm told by the DuPage County that most likely they're going to give that same grant. Obviously, there's no guarantees, but the cost of operations have gone up for them.
You're still seeing good benefits?
Oh my gosh, yes. In fact, Austin could
I
tell
know
you
you addressed it
about some more today.
before. Anything, yeah.
She just keeps knocking it out of the park.
Just actually this afternoon, we went for an active shooter lesson at one of the private schools in town. And it's a smaller school. It's located off of Cass Avenue. They haven't done the active shooter program that the state mandates for the high schools and the bit larger schools, since this is private and smaller for specific reasons, we'll say. And I was able to come explain from the police department perspective what should be done and what we can assist with. However, they voiced concerns of the students being startled by seeing the police. We were able to come up with a program right then and there. So I bring Sabrina to these, that Sabrina will come read to the kids for a couple different sessions to start facilitating that relationship and that introduction for the police department and work that progress through. There's been several meetings that I bring her to so that we don't have that stigma necessarily of the police being there, and it softens those relationships so that we can get in with those key stakeholders in the community, and it has been absolutely great.
Good to hear.
Excellent.
You can tell her also about the blue envelope program that she wanted to implement, and we did.
Just this week, we ordered a sack of these blue envelopes that we distributed to City Hall. The police department has. The blue envelope program is for people with either disabilities or special needs. It stores their documents on there. It has the City of Darien and Darien Police Department markings on it. Village of Downers Grove, Naperville also participate in it, just to name a few. When we were introducing this program, one of the officers had just told us he had stopped an individual who was nonverbal. He had not heard of this program. He was handed a blue envelope that had all these documents. It's an excellent program, not just for drivers, but just any interaction with first responders to have all that sensitive material there and explain the special needs of that individual we're coming into contact with. So it was a program that we had not been participating in that Sabrina immediately got us involved in and exposed us to that.
So it's not just the traditional thinking of going out on social worker type calls. It is well beyond that as well. In addition to every domestic violence call she follows up on and on. So she does a great job for us.
Fantastic. Well, I'm glad we did that. Any other questions on social worker or anything else in 4337? Okay. Moving on to capital. We obviously have several items in 4815 under equipment. So I'll just let you guys, if you want to start off with the booking, maintenance, and contingency.
Just
We obviously have backup for all that.
Bookings are building is, I think nearing 35 years old, somewhere around there. I wasn't party to building that building, but I was party to building a police department that's 200,000 square feet. The architect told us that you can consider a police building usage at 3 times the normal usage of public building, because we are 24/7. So that booking area that on a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday job, those doors are gonna be, and drawers are gonna be open and closed X amount of times. Now that's 365 days a year, every hour of the day. That's a lot of opening and closing of drawers, and they're going to get worn and damaged, and so it's time to replace all those mechanisms in that area from just age and time to repair.
And obviously, we did get an updated budget request form this evening versus what was in our initial packet, so,
Yeah, it spells it out a little bit better
yeah,
here.
yeah.
And,
But the initial
again,
package showed on page 114, $8,000, but now the updated form shows 25.
Correct, and the number 25 is actually in the budget itself, it was just the back.
Right, it just, yeah, I just wanted to explain, that's why we've got new details, because the dollars were there, just things didn't match.
I don't like to, but I will give congratulations and thanks to Dan.
Sorry, wait a minute, the camera's
Now he's
rolling.
gonna make me say it
It's on
again, and the camera's already on. No, joking aside, there was some conversation about, who should carry what in which budget and those type of things. And this was what, caused me to remind me of it, that, you know, we don't do that work. Dan does, and, he's, you know, put this contingency in, and, very helpful with rags, I think the agency is.
That's
and
correct.
Bunch of different things helping us out, and, so, yeah, I think it's much more up to date and, correct now. Thanks, Dan.
In the contingency section, there's $25,000 reflected for an architect, though. Is this relative to what you were talking about last week, Dan, or?
No, this is not, no, not at
Because
all.
we were talking about tuck pointing and getting a consultant for that. What's this
No,
architect?
the idea behind the consultant in this contingency plan is not to spend good money after good money. So instead of fixing an area of the building to do whatever is currently necessary, and then 5 years later, when it's time to do something, we're going to undo what we did and spent money on. So the idea behind the architect is to take a 10, 15, 20-year look, see what the agency's going to look like, whether there's gonna be increased personnel, decrease in personnel, same amount of personnel. Are there going to be changes in assignments? Is there, and then look at the building and what we need to do. And just an example, when I came here, there was no place to process evidence. And we process about 1,000 to 1,400 pieces of evidence a year. We had no place to do that. But we did have a place for live lineups. We would never in our lifetime do a live lineup in the police department. There's, other than a physical place that we paid a lot of money to do it, we would not have any fillers. So how that happens is that those are always done at the county. They have a whole population of people that they can bring in to do the fillers, and everybody's seen those on either a movie or a television show, how they come in, they turn to the left, turn to the right, and do all those things. Anyway, we paid money when we built the building to do that. And so in order to fix that problem of not using that portion of the building and needing a portion of the building to do evidence, we redid that, which makes sense. But in the long term, was that the right place to put it? An architect that knows how to do those things knows a lot better than I do. So our preference is to have an architect look at all of our procedures, policies, personnel, organization, where places in the building need to be, and then tell us, you know, this is what you need to do. And then we plan out, you know, just like we did the last 2 years ago, we did the break rooms. This year, we did the evidence room. Next year, we're asking to do the booking room, and that's just gonna continue. I think it's smarter to have an architect tell us, you know what, this is probably the way you should do this work. So that's why that's in there.
Alderman Sullivan, just one point, that's probably a good example. And I don't think we mentioned it this time, but there's a lot of numbers in the budget, you know, some small, some larger. But as a reminder, anybody watching, anything over 5,000 will come back to the council after the budget's approved. So if the chief goes to hire an architect, we get the proposal and it would come back to the city council. So if we don't answer every single question on things like this, the council will get another chance to see everything in more detail as we come for approval.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody. Equipment, any more questions on any other items under equipment? 4815. Okay.
You know what, just real fast, and not to belabor the point anymore, but same thing with the fitness room. That was put in before I got there. So now you have mechanical equipment, the elliptic machine, the treadmill, the rowing machine, and different things that are now over 10 years of age, and it's aging out. So that's fitness room evaluation. Again, having a professional tell us what's good and what's bad. In fact, we did that this year and paid for, I don't remember how we paid for it, either equitable sharing funds or however we did. And we shut down 2 pieces of equipment because of frayed and bad cable. So it's just another maintenance thing on a 30-plus-year-old building.
And so then the $8,000 would be to like repair or replace existing equipment?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes, Brian?
One more comment, I noticed one of the line items has no money this year, but it's the last one, it says interior building improvements, and we show fiscal year 28 and 29. Because it's not this year, we don't show any money, but in our backup and in our 3-year plan, there is $75,000 allocated in fiscal year 28 and fiscal year 29. Should some of these, should the architect identify anything that would need to come over the next 2 years? So sometimes like that, when we have a consultant coming in and we don't know exactly what will come out of that study, we do allocate money, again, as a placeholder. I just wanted to point that out.
Oh, thank you for pointing that out. Any other questions or comments for chief and deputy chief, or, anything more? Was there anything in Ralph's, in Alderman Stampanato's memo that needs to be mentioned?
Not regarding the police department.
Okay, I'm just,
He had number 4 on the backside. I'll just, I recognize the police department represents our largest expenditure. While I have some questions regarding the 9% growth trend over the last 2 years, I have full confidence in the council's ability to vet these figures thoroughly tonight to ensure we are balancing public safety needs with fiscal responsibility. So I had not sent this to the chief yet, so we could probably reach out directly.
Sure.
And talk through any specific questions he has.
okay. Chief, deputy chief, anything else you'd like to add this evening?
I have nothing.
Thank you both so much for your time and your effort and all the research you did putting this together. We appreciate it very much. Okay, so we will make that a wrap for the police department budget. Okay? And you guys are welcome to stay and hang out with us, or you can be excused, whatever.
I'm gonna stay around for.
Yeah.
Oh, look at the time.
Really, I got some things I wanna show you, Greg.
Yeah, I'll stick around for that.
Anyone wants to take a second to grab a snack, feel free to take things to go. Always welcome. Okay,
Thanks all.
you're welcome, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Once the gentlemen clear the table, we'll let April Padalik join us to go over Darien Business Alliance and community events. Does April have a, pardon?
What page is that on?
That would be starting on page 56. Does April have a nameplate?
No, 65. I'm sorry,
56?
the hard, I'm sorry, the hard.
Yeah, the hard copy, 56.
I'm sorry,
Thank you,
65 on-
65 electronic. Has anyone heard anything from Joe Kenny? Anyone heard anything from, okay. So we are now doing DBA and community events. Write my notes here. Okay, great. Well, thank you for joining us tonight, April. Like I said, we will start on page 56 hard copy, 65 electronic. Okay, so we'll start off with the overview page. And then the backup summary. We did get a updated backup tonight, which is for later on in the budget. Starting off with personnel. Any questions on personnel? Nope. Okay. Benefits, obviously tying into personnel line. Any questions there? Okay, we will go right into operating costs. Any questions on dues and subscriptions, postage, printing? Okay. Then we will go into public relations and account 4239. We did get an updated handout this evening. Prior it referenced backup pages 59, 63, 68, and 74. If Brian, if you and April wanna talk through that a little bit?
Yeah, April could cover the specific events or the backup. And I guess as a preface to the concerts, we did hand out something, I might have mentioned it. We have been looking at actually a few locations for the summer concert series. We had most recently talked to the Park District. And then we also went back to Carriage Greens where the concerts were originally. And in meeting with the course owners and the restaurant owners, they really liked the fact that we were considering going back to the golf course. They were excited about it. The restaurant, again, will be here probably over the next couple of months to kind of do a reintroduction. But when it's all said and done, we think that the golf course is a great location. The primarily loading and unloading bands and different things, that is a little more difficult at Community Park. And again, as we reviewed all these things, we're recommending we go back to Community Park for this next year, for this year's concerts. And then in the future, as Westwood Park moves ahead with their improvements, I did email Stephanie today telling her we'll have to talk maybe after the summer about the gazebo they're building and different things to see what role we might be able to play there. But again, for this year, we thought moving back to the golf course would be a good idea.
Because Westwood Park will be under construction, and they had proposed for us to utilize Community Park for the concerts.
Correct.
Yes.
So the additional changes you probably received this evening were additional charging for staging. We did not have that originally in there.
Because we were thinking Community Park.
Yes, that we'd be using the gazebos there.
But at Westwood Park, we did have to rent a stage prior, so that's been something we've done before, and at Carriage Greens.
Right, this is why you received revised statements.
So I wanted to start with that, but maybe April could run through the Darien Dash and each
Sure,
event.
Dan just raised his hand, so is there something you have to?
Yes, Alderman Kenny just texted me. It sounds like he won't be here for the rest of the evening, so he's gonna pick up his computer tonight.
Okay, thank you for letting us know, Dan. We wish his father-in-law all the best and hopefully he's gonna be okay. Okay, so going back, I'll let you roll with it, April.
So if you're looking at Darien Dash, slight increase this year primarily because we're looking to get the course certified. We go through the Chicago Area Runners Association. I'm not a runner, so bear with me. If we get a course certification, it's advantageous for the event. It's crucial that the distance is measured is accurate and reliable. And it also contributes to the event's reputation. It'll attract more professional runners. Every year, we've noticed this thing growing. On average, after expenses, we usually clear between $10,000 and $12,000 for a basically 3 to 4 hour event. The certification, if we get that, is good for 10 years. So it's a one-time charge for that.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
good.
it's not an annual thing, so that's why there's a little bit of a higher price of overhead on this. But basically with the timing company and everything else is about the same.
How many runners do we get every year, April, on average?
I'm sorry?
How many runners do we get?
We were up to about 300 this past year. And they also bring their family members and also it's good for the businesses.
We
More
get, we
exposure.
get sponsors for the events.
Sponsors, yes.
Yeah, I know that's a big thing. When I did some fundraising before for other organizations, having it Para certified is very important if you want to drive.
And he has technically three courses to certify and that could have been up to around, I think he told me 3,200. He's giving us all three for 1,700.
Very good. Any other questions on Darien Dash? Okay. Want to move on to, guess sequentially, is the next one Oktoberfest or in the packet? Pardon? I'm just looking in the backup, but, yeah, no, we'll do it, just,
I was going by the list, this list.
it goes Darien Dash, then Oktoberfest. Under, on page 57. Okay? Is that okay with you, April? Do you want to do the order differently?
That's fine by me.
Okay.
It's easier that way.
So Oktoberfest.
Just lost mine. Oktoberfest is an event that we share with the Darien Lions Club. The city often furnishes the stage, the bands, banner if need be, and lights and sound. We're doing 2 bands at the cost of $1,850. The stage and sound $2,850, and then we provide the porta potties.
Any questions on Oktoberfest?
For the Oktoberfest, we have not secured
A
an
location?
exact location yet. We have for the concerts, we have for the Darien Fest. That one is not been finalized yet.
Are we still looking at the golf course though, for that?
I think we have to talk about that. Our concerts are easier to plan because it's just us, so we have to sit down time with you or whoever, again, from the Lions Club, I believe it's you. And talk through locations, see what works. It's,
I mean,
We're allowed
does
to have it
will
there,
it
but-
work, I guess the question is, will it work for Carriage Greens?
Well, we had it there the first
That's where
year.
we first had it.
No, I know it works. I meant, does it work in 2026 for Carriage Greens on October 3rd?
we have not checked that specific date, although we did talk internally, and I don't know if anybody had talked to Tom yet about starting the event later in the day. Maybe a 3 o'clock start time. Now, if that start time obviously would interfere less with golfers and things like that, but
Right.
we still have to solidify those, the location, things like
And
that.
taking off my admin finance chair hat and putting on my Alderwoman 5 hat, which is Carriage Greens and the residents surrounding them. There was a fair amount of feedback after the last Oktoberfest, and I know, just some things would have to be done differently to manage the crowds. It is different than the concerts because it is on a Saturday. Carriage Greens, last time there was Oktoberfest, they did also have an event inside the building, in the ballroom, which made parking fairly impossible. And yeah, just the containment of it so that people aren't spreading out into the neighborhood. So there's just, we have to remind ourselves of the feedback of the residents concerned that surround the course and just the feasibility of it. Is it possible to do, have an active golf course, have potentially a wedding or some type of event inside and an Oktoberfest in the parking lot? And also different than the concerts is concerts are a couple hours and the Oktoberfest, at least this last year, was, a much longer period of time. So you're then also, inconveniencing the community that surrounds it for a longer period of time. So, but they'd also probably attend too. So, it's just, that's all. I'd love to be a part of that conversation if it's appropriate.
Yeah, I don't know, again, this is a really joint project with the Darien Lions Club. I don't know if there's been another meeting set between us and the Lions for this event. If not, there will have to be very soon. Go through some of these things. We did talk again about Chestnut Court.
Chestnut Court.
That's been a nice place for our carnivals, and it's different, the concert series, you're a little more tucked away, a little quieter. Something like that, it's a festival, you're walking around, it's a little different, and that's one location I'm sure we'll talk about.
Okay. Any more questions on Oktoberfest? Okay, then, if you go to page 68, Darien Fest, which is where the backup is.
So you notice there's a substantial increase this time for Darien Fest, and it's primarily because we're moving it to a street facility. We have some major fees involved with this location, that being street closure, about $7,500 for the equipment needed for that. A 30 by 90 tent that goes for around $4,000. We also have to bring in picnic tables to this location, so we work with a company, 30 tables would be $1,500. And then again, bringing in a stage with lights and sound. And also this year, the complaint being last year that there were some very slow times because we didn't offer enough entertainment. So we're going with two bands.
It's just South High School.
Two bands on Saturday, two bands on Sunday, and Friday night, it's just 6 to 10 p.m., so we're going with the one band. So there's been an increase there, and we've also stepped up the quality of some of those bands as well. And with that, you have to pay a little bit more.
Plus, we're also doing some stuff with the school. The school's gonna be working with us. Might wanna mention that.
Yes, we are with the 250th anniversary of our country, we are trying to focus a lot of our events around that. And that opening night on Friday will be the marching band marching in with some patriotic music. We hope to have the VFW there posting the colors, someone with the national anthem, and then some of the cheerleaders or whatever also being involved. And then the mayor makes a presentation, and then the marching band goes out again.
And can you just paint a picture for us logistically, April, on how it'll be laid out, Darien Fest?
So 75th Street and Clarendon Hills Road, you will not be able to access Clarendon Hills Road at that point. That's where the barricades will go in. I believe the east-west street on the north end is Elm Street.
Yes, Elm.
Doing this from memory. There will be a barricade there as well with the stage at that end. So the residents that live off of Elm or the ones along Clarendon Hills Road there can still get in and out of their.
From like
access.
Plainfield to Elm?
Yes.
Okay.
Carnival will be in the student parking lot, which is primarily fenced, so that,
Which is the stadium lot?
yes, so
Okay.
that helps right there. And then most of the rest of the business expo, the food vendors, the beer sales will be in or around the tent, which will be in the middle of the street. It's the same size tent that we have for Oktoberfest, if you've been to that event. And that's where everything will pretty much take place. And parking will be in the north lot, which is along Elm Street.
Right, it's adjacent to the school.
That's where parking will primarily be.
Okay, and will people be able to access parking at the library and other?
Probably, the library always works well with us.
Okay.
So Brian, so now for 4239 for concerts, the 14,625 we had here originally is now gonna be the 21,675?
I'm sorry, Jerry.
We're not at concerts yet, we're still on Darien Fest.
I'm sorry, I thought we started talking about the concert.
It's okay, there is concerts at Darien Fest. Yeah, so we're still on Darien Fest. Okay. So it sounds like a fairly ideal situation in terms of logistics because.
Weather permitting, I think we're gonna have a very successful event. We've already got everything secured with bands and choosing of all that. We are already promoting, we'll promote even more. We're already getting phone calls from people outside the area wanting to be vendors and things like that. So I think it'll be very successful at that location.
Great, great. Any more questions on Darien Fest?
Alderman Sullivan, just wanted
Yes.
to point out, if anybody's looking at the current budget, comparing it to what the proposed budget is, currently we show Darien Fest at 14.6. Below it, we have a contingency of 10,000. Now, in the proposed budget, it's all wrapped into one. So if somebody's comparing, you can't compare the 14.6, you'd have to compare the 24.6 to what we're proposing for this year.
Understood. Anything else on 4239, Darien Fest? Okay, then we will go to the tree lighting and 4th of July parade. There's really no backup for that. That's pretty straightforward. Any questions on tree lighting and 4th of July parade?
Tree lighting is an activity which encompasses a number of our community organizations, the Darien Gardens Club, the Women's Club, the Lions Club. It's been expanded, as many of you know, over the last few years from an event that was probably 45 minutes to an hour long to about a 3-hour meeting. We're actually looking at cutting it back a little bit. We've had, and we also have cooperation from the fire department bringing Santa Claus. We have a Santa Claus who comes in. So it's an event that has expanded the ability of residents to see what the Historical Society has to offer. We have more people go in that building in that one day all year long. More than likely, they'll get a lot of publicity from that. So for the cost that we incur, it's a very well-attended event.
We've got our
The
beautiful
city-
tree.
The city purchases the advertising banner, and then we provide face painters, which I believe last year was in the ballpark of $500.
I saw a lot of base painted kids.
It's very popular there.
Yes. Okay. Okay, we will move on to page 74, concerts. We did receive this evening an updated summary backup page. And as explained prior, it was due to the potential change of location. There would be increased cost. April, I know Alderman Legansky's got some stuff.
Primarily the addition of the stage costs, and the band level, again, I was instructed that, I remember last year there was discussion whether or not we would increase the amount of concerts or just increase the level of bands that we get at these. So we did go with the little higher levels, financially speaking, for entertainment with some of the bands.
And I see listed, the dates are June 25th, July 30th, August 27th, so we're sticking with the last Thursday. Alderman Legansky.
Yes, so Brian, so the 14,625 is really now the 21,675, correct?
Correct, and again, specifically for the stage, that was the addition.
Right, because you still got the 5,000 contingency in 4330, but this is still in 4239. Correct, the 5,000 contingency,
We still have a contingency, yes.
so the 14,625 is gonna be 21,675 now.
If it's, as approved by the council. And what we're hoping to do, if there's the consensus tonight, Monday evening, I wanted to bring this back for formal approval so we could start hiring bands and things, because we need to get moving on that. April has all the contracts ready to get signed, but
They're all in holding, but we don't wanna lose them.
Right,
Yeah.
right, agree. Any more questions on concerts? No problem.
Alderman, Alderman Stompanato had
Yes.
sent in one of his comments. He had to do with the DBA budget. And one was, I won't read them all, but fiscal sustainability, just looking in the long term, how we're managing our fests and at what level would they grow or not grow in terms of dollars, and he just wanted to make that point that we don't grow too much in that area. Then he did also have some comments about more about the business side of what we're doing and how we could start moving ahead on some more specific benefits for the business community. And I talked to him, again, what we talked about during the goal setting session, where we're gonna start now working with specific centers. So we might take any one of the centers, do some public relations on the center and those stores, and possibly, well, we would put that in Direct Connect and some other places. Possibly do a special Direct Connect once a month for the spotlight, but that is something we're getting moving on shortly.
For the businesses that are obviously in Darien, part of the Darien Business Alliance.
Yeah, because the centers are all, the centers will be all in there.
Mary, can I?
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
please.
So to add to that, Brian, from what Alderman Stompanato said, I had asked for the P and L for the DBA for the year. And then I kind of went back to compare it to the memo you sent last year, December of 2024, where when we took this over, from the chamber and took it in-house, I mean, we estimated that it'd be a net to the city in terms of the revenues we generate, take back what we were paying to the chamber, the management fees to the chamber, and, that really didn't happen this year, in my estimation. We didn't net positive or break even. We actually lost.
I'm not sure following.
Well, because if you look at the revenues that we had for the year, we estimated revenues from Darien Fest at $40,000 per the memo.
Okay.
Okay? And from the P and L, the Darien Fest only made $23,000 before you had to back out the expense for the police, correct?
Well, I mean, it really depends how you look at it. We did have the expense for the Darien Fest. We had that prior, so it depends how you look at it. But yeah, that's a cost of having the fest, yes.
But we would be reimbursed, but before we were being reimbursed under the old scenario, correct? From the chamber for the,
The chamber would pay a percentage of,
Only if they made so much money.
right, it was based on whatever level we made off the event.
10 or 12,000, 13,000, usually in that range. Yeah, I mean, roughly there.
The
But I
other
think the
issue
original
too-
analysis we did was, if we took this in-house, we would have personnel costs for April. And based on the two numbers here you mentioned, that would cover the expenses for April in the department. It wasn't to cover things like the concerts or other things.
no,
So,
the concerts, I'm taking, the concerts, either way, the concerts, we don't charge anything, it's always an expense to the city. I get that. Same thing with the,
Oktoberfest. Oktoberfest is expensive.
correct, right. Now, I don't know, between the loss we had from the Oktoberfest and the Fall Carnival, I don't know which one was which. You know what I mean? Which one caused the loss? Was it the Fall Carnival or the Oktoberfest? Because it's all in one line item here in that P and L that you guys did. So,
In the past, tell me if I'm wrong, April, but in the past, the carnival for Darien Fest, it actually brought in more revenue. This last year, it did not.
Well, it was a rough year. Darien Fest itself, excessive heat temperatures, and we didn't have a late afternoon band, so to speak. So that's why we've gone to 2 bands per Saturday and Sunday. We were not the only community that got hurt on the weather. If you read or follow Joliet, does it taste of Joliet? They chose not to do it anymore. Theirs was 10 times the size of our Darien Fest with main stage entertainment, and they got hit bad. And they were in June. They blamed the weather. People weren't coming out.
Darien Fest historically, I mean, it's showing that we only made 23,000 last year, which I know the weather was a major factor. Prior to that, when the chamber ran it, profits were generally $50,000, $60,000.
The problem is we don't have liquor sales. That goes to a not-for-profit group. The Lions Club gets that.
The Lions Club makes anywhere between $17,000 and $20,000 on the liquor
2
sale.
years ago, when the chamber,
On their budget though.
2 years ago with the chamber, we did very well at Darien Fest. We cleared probably $80,000 after expenses, and 20,000 was in liquor sales, and the rest was carnival and some sponsorship.
But when the chamber was doing the P&L, the salary of was not factored into the Darien Fest.
Yes, a portion of it was,
Okay.
yeah.
I think Jerry did just.
Okay, but the P and L we did on the Darien Fest, okay? We're showing a P and L of $23,000, right, Julie? But that's before you have to back out the police costs of $15,695.
Jerry, if you go back to the original memo, the number was, the number.
40,000.
Yeah, but the number did not include police expenses, it didn't include things, and also what Julie presented included the concerts at a loss, I'll call it 16.6, that's nowhere in here, you'd have to redo the math and add that 16 back or whatever, because that's not in the original analysis. So it's a little, comparing.
So all you showed was revenue for Darien Fest, not any expenses, back in November.
Which is November, Jerry, I'm sorry.
The memo,
The original memo then, okay,
No, the memo that, when we decided to take it over,
yes.
correct? The memo you did in December 16th of 2024, you show revenues from Darien Fest of $40,000. I took that to be net of any expenses that the city would be out.
And that typically was the real number that it
Correct.
was previously.
But what I'm saying, reality though, for last year, it was only $7,600.
Was it 7,600 or 23,000? Julie, did the 15,000 include officers' expenses or was that just direct costs?
It's just direct costs. Because Mike, the police staffing Darien Fest is $15,695. It's more than the expenses that we show for Darien Fest. So I take that to be that's on top of that.
Okay.
So the Darien Fest made us $7,600. If I'm wrong, tell me, I'd love.
That's what I'm trying to find out.
So we
from-
get 45% of the purse from the carnival, and off the top of my head, I don't wanna say a number, it'd be totally wrong, I thought we got 30-something thousand.
So we received $39,039, we had $23,000 in expenses, including, well, and in addition, the $15,000 for police salaries. So if you're looking at it with those salaries brought in, there was a net of zero on that. And I see what you're saying, but we had
So
it,
much in expenditure.
Well, I would tell you, Jerry, because I prepared the memo you're referencing. When I talked about revenues, it was our revenues were gonna come in. It was not police expenses, was not anything. It was if we take over and have these events, here's the revenue we'll bring in, and reduction of fees. So that was not net minus.
That's how I took this.
No, I understand, but
I mean,
that
I
was.
took this to be that if we took it in-house, the revenues, the profit that the chamber used to make, we're gonna make. So that's when I saw revenues, I thought that was net of any expenses, that would be net money coming back into the city.
I'm having trouble reconciling this because the chamber did historically make, that was their biggest fundraiser. That's where they got the largest share of their revenue. And they would typically make anywhere between $50,000 to $100,000. We used to have a sharing arrangement with them because we had these out-of-pocket costs where they would reimburse us based on their bottom line. If their bottom line was, say, $30,000, they would have to reimburse us 10% of whatever their bottom line was. If it was $50,000,
a whole sliding scale thing,
15 or
yeah.
20%, and it was all the way up to 50%, I think, if they made $100,000. I don't think it ever went to that number, but it typically would range anywhere from $30,000 to $70,000. So this $23,000, again, well, even the $39,000 of revenue sort of surprises me that it.
But it's all the liquor sales, right, Mike? That's really
Liquor
the
sales was
difference.
included back in the day with that.
Okay.
Since DBA has formed.
So now that just goes to the
Lions
Lions.
Clubs gets sales at Darien Fest, concert series, and Oktoberfest.
Okay.
I didn't think they sold liquor at the concerts.
Yeah, they do. They sell hot dogs and chips and alcohol.
Oh, I know they sold the hot dogs and the chips. Okay.
Well, Brian, maybe we can do it aside from this meeting, but maybe we have to go back through those numbers. But I mean, the way I'm looking at this, the net to the city from the Darien Fest was like $7,600. That's it. After our expenses for police, everything else, that's all we brought in. So if I'm wrong, point it out.
Well, I think, Chair, you said it's not right or wrong, it's how you read it versus how I wrote it and how we budgeted for it. Because we did, based on this, we budgeted appropriately or accordingly. I didn't budget a loss for the Darien Fest to take out police expenses. That was in the police department budget. So this obviously started, it was mid-year, but when the budget was prepared and approved, it did include the analysis and numbers that I conveyed in this memo. So if there's a misunderstanding, I guess it doesn't matter going backwards, it's going forwards.
Absolutely.
What's the council's, whatever Alderman Leganski's saying, Jerry, I don't know what your conclusion is, if it has to do with having a Darien Fest or not.
When we decided to take it over, I went by the first numbers that were presented, that in our mind, we felt that net to the city is $117,000. By bringing on the new department, it was gonna be $104,000 of expenses. So I think when we first agreed to take this over, I was under the impression that the city would break even, if anything, make a little bit of money. I understand the concert series, that's always been an expense, you know.
How's the 35,000, that's reflected in those numbers that you have?
Yeah, yeah. And I just want to be cognizant going forward that we manage this, that it doesn't get away from us, that's all.
I think that's important though, because, yeah, I mean, I don't think it should be a tremendous drag on the city. There would be, I would anticipate there would be a cost to it though. I can't imagine the city being able to break even on these unless you really have an outstanding carnival, outstanding carnivals. I think it was good that Joe, last year, we got that extra carnival in, otherwise it would have been even worse.
I think something.
It's up to the council to decide exactly how much out of pocket you wanna put it in, but breaking even, I think it's gonna be difficult to come up with a scenario where it would break even, to be honest with you, but, I don't know.
Unless you get some liquor money.
No, but again, it's, where you're getting it from and where you're giving it to.
The issue, I think, with the liquor sales and service, that's a big job for the weekend that has taken a lot of volunteers from the Lions Club and not us actually literally selling the alcohol. Not that that's the only arrangement or percentage, but that's one of the reasons we did not want to get involved in the liquor sales.
Well, I know, because they have to be trained and everything, so.
Trained and you need at least 4 people there every 2, for shifts.
It's legally required by the state.
It's 2 minutes I went through the training.
Okay. So, correct me if I'm wrong, so I know the Lions Club they sell the corn but did they never have a revenue share then, prior to the Darien, when it was Darien Chamber?
So based on whatever chamber netted, there would be a thank you.
A sliding scale?
There was
Okay.
a thank you check to the Lions Club.
Okay. Understood.
Okay, one more point now, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but if you look at the way the Darien Fest was prior to us taking it in-house with the DBA, if we compare just that event by itself, are we worse off or better off than we were before? Just by the way we're taking it, I'm almost thinking we're
Are
worse
you
off.
including the police
Are you talking about
numbers? I mean, there's-
financially?
Well, because yeah, even with the police side, you have to take that into the, because we reimbursed some of that before, now we're taking all of it on our own, correct?
What we did, the first year we had the Darien Fest also. We did take on the full police expense, yes. Because it was our fest, it went away from the chamber and became our fest.
But before, you'd get something back from the chamber.
Sometimes, not always.
Now we're eating all that cost by ourselves,
It
correct?
was usually,
We did not get reimbursed for the police per se.
Yeah,
We
it
got
was a
reimbursed
portion.
a percentage of the bottom line.
and
Gotcha.
when I
We never
first started-
recouped the entire expense.
Yeah, it was always a
never
small
came
portion,
close.
it was, it was
Never
never,
came close.
That's
Very,
I guess
like,
my
say,
point
a
would
couple
be-
$1,000s.
Pre-DPA, we lost money, if you wanna call it a
Yeah,
loss,
it was
because
like
we
the
had
city
expenses
donated- the city
for
donated
Darien Fest
police
that,
services.
and we got no income from Darien Fest.
Got it. Got a
So we
portion.
were losing money
On Darien Fest, absolutely.
That's always happen.
Yes.
God's gonna lose
I didn't think we would ever look at this as a profit-making.
I was gonna say,
But you don't want it to
Activity.
be a financial drag either, I think is what
No, we
Jerry's
don't want it to
saying
be a
too.
financial drain, but we also have to look at the intent of having these programs. And these programs are to provide an opportunity for our residents to be out on the weekend with a sense of entertainment, meeting one another, talking to one another. This didn't, Darien Fest existed before we took on the DBA.
And it also helps, if I may interject, with the business community too. You have a 2-day business expo, and a lot of places, wanna be there. They wanna get their name out there, they wanna meet family crowds, because they're trying to sell something and.
Okay, I just want it to be a drag, that's all.
I think we need to understand that
We gotta look at it.
these activities that we have here, that we're never gonna make money.
No.
We're not gonna show a profit on. We help a community organization, i.e. the Lions Club, and this next year, the Women's Club. So the Women's Club's gonna sell wine and seltzer, so they'll make some money on that. So we're basically helping a couple of community organizations that give back to the community already. And we're providing entertainment for our residents. Prior to that, the Chamber gave the Lions Club maybe $800 to work a weekend. And they worked all Friday night, all Saturday, and all Sunday. And they got a check for $800. I remember, because I was the treasurer and I got that check. It almost sounds like you have a little bit of buyer's remorse, Jer.
No, I think, Jerry, can I just interject for a minute?
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I think you're also not talking about exactly the same thing. You're talking about the concerts and the Darien Fest. I think Jerry's looking at the entire package of the entire budget of the Darien Business Alliance. So you've got events, and then you've got what used to be the chamber, the business part of it, now being one. So I think Jerry just was looking at the entire bottom line and it being, more, not a break even, more of a loss, not just necessarily the individual events. That's what I'm taking away.
I got the impression that Jerry thought that the revenues would cover salaries and things like that.
In its entirety.
Yeah, in its entirety.
But aside from the concerts, though, he's saying the concerts are out of pocket. I think we all pretty
think
much
he
agree on
did say
that.
that.
Yeah, I know that.
What I think is important, if we all look at page 68, that is, not going backwards, but going forward, that is what
Yeah,
we are requesting on page 68 is 45,962, and it's all there. So what's not there is the police expense. So I think moving forward, whatever number this is gonna be, that's the expense, plus police. We haven't identified here yet, any, advertising revenue or something, on this same sheet. That would probably, if we did that and added those two numbers, that would be the complete, I think, Jerry, that would make apples to apples then, it's for you and I are talking
I agree,
about.
yes, thank you.
So
We also have extra expenses this year because of the location change. But I also think when we look at Darien Fest of the past and Darien Fest of the present, it is not, I think it'll be very difficult to compare apples to apples because the revenue that the chamber used to get for things no longer comes to the chamber / the city. So it's the arrangements we've made, the partnerships we've forged are different. And, so we are not necessarily bringing the revenue into the city, but we are bringing revenue in. It is still a moneymaker in the sense of the money's being distributed differently.
Yes, and Mary, when I mention apples to apples, I'm looking at
Yes, your summary
this
sheet.
1 year
Yes.
coming up, is that apples to apples? Because we could argue that, it's the expense, here's 45,000, and Jerry and I will sit down, and that'll be my number, and Jerry will add the police, just so everybody's aware of what you're all talking about, in terms of the expense, the
Right.
revenues, because there was confusion on the original memo, so this is probably what we should work, or the elected officials should work for, so they could determine, if the expense for the Darien Fest, what it is on this sheet, knowing we expend money on the police, if you wanna continue with the Darien Fest. I haven't heard you don't, I don't mean to say
No.
that, but if we're comparing numbers, that's probably how we need to do it going forward. And Jerry and I could sit down on this one, because we'll never finish the discussion tonight, he and I, so it might take us to sit down and, again, I just wanna make sure everybody's comfortable with all the numbers in the budget for the activities. So that's, I think, what would be.
Exactly, it's hard to compare to how it's being done now, this year, last year, compared to how it was done prior. That's all, like when we think of if you were to look at the chamber's prior books, it would look like a ton of money, but then there were other things, that the city, like Tom Belzak said perfectly, Darien Fest was always a money loss for the city because we weren't reimbursed for all our expenses, so. Okay, I don't sense that there's any discussion tonight about making changes to the plans for the next fiscal year in terms of concerts, in terms of Darien Fest, in terms of our partnership with the TBD location of Oktoberfest with the Lions Club. Is everyone in agreement on that? Okay.
I think one thing though, it would be helpful to add, because we mentioned the Lions Club, the liquor sales, we don't do it, all the work's involved. But I think one of the thoughts was, if there's profit made from the Lions Club, they've been very generous to the community on so many events. So it's not like it's a private company taking the liquor sales and going away. I think that played a factor in us saying, hey, it's a good idea that the Lions would take that portion because they are giving back. So again, if you're not looking at just the dollars, I think that was important.
Right, it's like an in-kind, they're giving back to the community. Any other questions on public relations, account 4239? Okay, April, do you have anything else? Okay, we'll move on to supplies, other supplies office, any questions there? Travel meetings. Okay. And then last category, contractual services. And we do have a contingency, but anything else on this budget? Darien Business Alliance,
Mayor, you were gonna mention, I don't know if you.
community events?
Dancing with the Stars events or anything else, so.
Yeah,
We'll talk about it.
I don't even know if I should bring it up. As everybody knows, we ran a very successful Dancing with the Stars program. It looks like we ran it as a fundraiser. We ran it to make money. In effect, we're around $10,000, $11,000 that we're gonna be able to give to the Cancer Smashers group, which was our intent. To be quite honest, I would have been happy if we had made $5,000. We were looking more in the neighborhood of making $5,000. The fact that we made $10,000, $11,000 speaks to the people that we had dancing, the crowd, and their ability to sympathize or empathize with the cause that we were promoting. It was a great event. We had 280 people there. It's probably one of the more successful events that we've had. I would like to run it again. I realize there might be some hesitancy on the part of the council to run it again. I know people that want to dance next year. I think it was a nice night of entertainment. We could pick a different fundraising group every year and provide money, but in effect, it cost us $4,000, $4,000 or $5,000 to run that event. And I know there's concern about expanding our activities and now including a Dancing with the Stars with an additional cost. I realize that we want to watch our costs in this area, and to add a Dancing with the Stars program every year or in the next fiscal year is gonna be a cost of $4,000 or $5,000. And I'd like the council to give me their take on that.
April's got something she wants to say.
I just want to say that we did raise about $700 in sponsorship, and that was last minute. We, if this were to become a more permanent event, we can plan better and push sponsorship more for this type of thing, just like way back in the day when the chamber ran it.
Right now, it's not in
Well, no, we're talking about it. So when you look at the money it costs the city, I do believe it was, time consuming on staff's part, multiple people's part, to prepare it. I'm so thrilled that it was successful. I'm sorry that I was out of town and I could not be there. I did express concern when it first came up at the proximity and time with the Darien Citizens of the Year celebration. I know it's a different crowd, and your crowd is also extremely dependent on the people who are dancing. So if you get dancers that are gonna draw people, then you're gonna get a couple hundred people, but if you don't, then you might not have the crowd, which then also equates to, because your profit on the ticket price is next to nothing. So you're really counting on people to donate when they're there or to buy raffle tickets or whatever you did. I think any money that Cancer Smashers could get was well received, but like for that many people at an event, you would think you would make twice that or 3 times that. It's a lot of work for that. I mean, you could probably set up a GoFundMe and you wouldn't have the entertainment, but you could probably still raise, if people are spending $100 to go to an event, they might donate it anyways. Sometimes maybe you can overexhaust people with a concept, maybe it should be an every other year thing, or at least if it's going to happen, it should be separated where it's in a different time of year than the Citizen of the Year, because there are going to be people that you're going to ask to repeat within 30 days to go to, the diehard Darien people, the council people, the other folks that, like to show support for Darien.
I went to the event, I thought it was fantastic. If we're gonna budget it, you said the city as a whole lost $4,000 on it. I think it's worth a $4,000 budget item, that's my opinion. I do agree, it is kind of crunched up against Citizen of the Year, and if we want to think about moving it to a different time, I'd be in favor of that. And I also agree that the what do you call them, the raffles and stuff like that were very limited in scope as to what they were. And if you had better people donating to the raffles, I don't know why the Lions Club didn't donate. I guess we weren't asked, but I'm sure next year we will be. I think you can make a lot more money on that kind of stuff too.
Sure.
Yeah, it was a fun night. I think, Mary's concern about being too close to Citizen Year didn't really happen, but again, I don't know how it's going for Citizen Year. I don't know how the sales are going for that coming up in a couple weeks. I think it kind of was almost like with the fall carnival with the Oktoberfest, maybe there's, too close to each other as well, that we're maybe we have to do a little bit better job of the calendar, so, I think, if we're gonna, but at a different time probably, I would say.
I've always said this for 17 years, and that is anything that we can do to showcase the city of Darien, whether it's Darien Fest, whether it's the concerts, whether it's Dancing with the Stars, something to get younger families more, to see about Darien, to get people invited. There is no cost, there's no price you can put a cost on it. It showcases the city. I always say we're obligated and voluntary officers. We're here to turn around to showcase the city. There's gonna be cost to it. We may make money, we may lose money, but if it's showing a positive light to the city of Darien, you can't put a number on it.
Michael?
No opinion. Not enough money to be excited about one way or the other.
Okay, thanks, we'll take that under advisement.
Well, I think what we would need to do, what we do is we have a recap of everything the council talked about, changes and things. I think the question is, we would need to add that then to the budget. So if we add, I'll have to talk to April again and make sure we have, budget appropriately. And then, we would make a change to the draft budget, and then the council would receive that budget, to approve, and it would have the event in there.
Yeah, I just think that's important that we have a whole overview of a year of activities. So if it's gonna, if you wanna forge ahead with it next fiscal year, then it definitely should be budgeted for, and there should be, an idea of what time of year it would be too.
Jared, in terms of Citizen of the Year, as of yesterday, we had about 140
Oh,
people.
it's better. Okay, good, good. It's good to hear.
Tomorrow is the
Deadline.
cutoff day for tickets.
Alderman Luganski mentioned the fall carnival. We were internally did not want to have it again. That was a tough time last year. It was really the weather. It's that carnival so weather dependent. And, again, we didn't, the expense for police is pretty minimal at a carnival. You have a few officers there, certainly not to the expense of Darien Fest. But we're not planning on doing that in the fall.
Understood.
Yeah, just so we're.
No, I think this, but last year, I think it was very close to the, if anything, I'd do it together. I'd make it a carnival and I mean, maybe that's a way to, draw more people to it as well. I don't know, but it's two separate things that close, regardless
I
of
understand, yeah.
the weather. I think it's getting up to, there's just too much to do within 2 weeks or whatever.
Any more questions on Darien Business Alliance community events? Anything for April? Thank you so much, April, for being with us tonight. Okay. Why don't we take a 2 to 5 minute break? I'm gonna use the ladies' room, and then we will jump into the water fund, and then the special accounts. Yes. water revenue. Okay. Brian, do you want to start with the revenue part of it, or?
Yeah, I can do a quick overview of that.
Okay,
The fiscal year ending 27 shows, the rate's exactly the same. Going out the second and third year, the forecast shows a slight increase, but we have done that before, and until we get about this time next year, we have the water pumpage, the bills to the water commission, so we'll review that again, but again, I always, in the waterfront, I have been putting that in there. Especially now as Dan goes through the expenses, we are putting some money in for some water main improvements and other things, so if all those expenses pan out, it's those numbers in years 2 and 3 are probably pretty good. So that's really the overview. I think the revenue, we show them fairly flat except for that increase. I think the pumpage that we sell to residents and businesses and unincorporated in the county, that was pretty flat this year. Really good change, not that much.
and then do you want to talk now or later about the fees and the cost? How the fixed fee,
No, I think for now, that, there's no change to that
Yeah.
for this year.
okay,
So I think, again, as we get to this time next year, we'll see how the water billing, different things came in. I think it's probably good to go right to the expenses.
okay. So we'll go into page 194, hard copy. And then we've got the supporting pages behind. So we'll start off at the top, personnel. Any questions on personnel, salaries, overtime, and benefits, since they're kind of all interrelated?
Question, Treasurer Corn, I sent you that on this summer salaries. I don't know if that made sense.
Yeah,
there.
it did, thank you.
Okay. Personnel and benefits, moving on to operating, 4213, dues and subscriptions. So we have a couple line items in this area that have supporting document. Frost Solutions, road temp, sensors, mini. We've got, how do you pronounce that, Dan? Visala?
Yeah,
Road sensors. Visala road sensors.
Yes.
And Samara GPS route cameras. Any questions in operating?
And if I,
Yes, please,
may,
Dan.
back on operating, I know last week we talked about it in the packet tonight, you gotta have a supplemental, page in regards to the, work order system, the, Gov, web Q&A. Actually, so we got some pricing on there, we wanted to, obviously, we did give you the backup, the pricing would be $45,000, that would be included in here for the dues and subscriptions, on this line account as well as one of the streets accounts, so it's a total of $90,000, all day.
In year one, Dan.
Year one, right, there's some subsequent costs for the licensing and the software updates on an annual basis, and we do have those, that was also backed up, and it is a little more. I just received the figures this evening. So we could adjust that, so I wanted to make sure that had the opportunity to be considered and allocated.
Any more questions on that? Any other discussion on dues and subscriptions, 4213?
Alderman, I'm sorry, so
Yes.
what Dan presented, that's
Yes.
okay to put in, we're good for that?
Is everyone okay with that? Does everyone, because this was also related to,
It was a carryover.
Carryover.
Yes.
okay, if there's a consensus, then keep it in. Okay, liability insurance. Any questions on 4219?
This is where you're seeing the increase, Jerry. See, it doubled from last year.
Yeah.
And then we have a, on page 212, an item, high shore trench boxes and shoring plates and trailer. Dan, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. In a nutshell, we currently have, these boxes are boxes that are installed during water main breaks. What we've been identifying, and we've rented some of them in the past, is it seems like that our digs are getting deeper and deeper. So the boxes basically have a 6 foot, so it's not really a safety clear zone, whereas these boxes will have the opportunity to go, I believe it's up to 12 foot in depth. They're stackable. They're stackable, and it comes on a trailer as well. So more than likely, if we're approved for this item, the other boxes we're probably gonna go and declare surplus, and there is some value to that. We can't be taking the chances, and with all the utilities that are underground today, it's getting very difficult to dig, and especially at these types of depths.
So these new boxes, then, there would be no longer a need for the old boxes?
At least one of them, one of the
Okay.
two.
And you
So
could-
we're
you
gonna,
could put that on the
evaluate
marketplace?
that. I'm sorry?
You could put them on like the marketplace and sell them?
Yes, that'll come back to city council for surplus equipment, for authorization to, basically put to auction.
So how deep can you go with these?
So I think it's 12 feet, basically.
I know, I was talking to the guys one time, I think it was at the Christmas thing, they said that one on Plainfield was super deep.
Right, they were trying to stack boxes on top of boxes, so that didn't work out, so
So
whatever.
that, because I think it was more than that, I thought they told me it was like over 20 feet, is that?
No, not 20 feet, definitely not. There's no way it could be 20 feet.
Okay,
I'll guarantee that. So what they end up doing is, there's more restoration, there's more destruction when you have to have that angle of repose, which is basically a 45 degree. So you're going down, 10 feet, that basically puts it out at 10 feet to the 20 feet for a total, if you want to say at a bare minimal. So that's a lot of more pavement. So actually, two of these emergencies would pay for itself with this box.
Any questions for Dan on liability insurance and the trench boxes? Okay. Then we will move on to 4223, maintenance building. There are seal coating the parking lot, plant 3 with backup, and then plant 3, some heaters, plant 5 wall and furnace heaters. So back up page 216 and 217. Dan, anything you want to add about that?
Basically, what we looked at, again, this goes from several years ago, when we looked at the modifications and or remodeling opportunities over at Public Works, and due to the, conditions with, especially the winter and or the summer, we're looking at putting these units in. They're basically those wall units. So that they've been, from what, I understand, and I have one, they're very economical, especially to heat and or cool the specific offices at Public Works and at our water plants too, versus putting we keep on putting maintenance monies in the gas or electric furnaces, and it's time to remove them and update to the newer technology.
Are these gas, yeah?
No, these are all wall units, they're 220, and basically
They're all
220 electric. And it's a self-contained unit with there's a product inside, there's a wall product inside, and then on the outside, there's another standalone product. Almost looks like an air conditioner, but basically
So
cut
do
it in
you
half.
vent it all outside?
No, there's no vent required,
No vent required?
no.
It does both heat and cool.
Yeah,
Yes.
it heats and cools.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Any questions on those items under maintenance building, account 4223? Okay, we will move on to 4225, maintenance equipment. Any questions there? Okay, 4229, maintenance vehicles. There is backup on page 223 for the Vector. Any questions? Okay, maintenance water system, 4231. At the bottom of that area, there is water tower tanks washing and gutterman zone log pressure and flow loggers. Back up on page 226 and 234.
Yeah, when's the last time we did the water towers?
Tanks, as far as the tanks go, I believe it was 5 years, close to 5 years ago, so it's lasted a long time. Can't complain, they still look good. Again, it's just give them that additional shine and
Get the mold off
the
of it.
aesthetics of we're maintaining something.
And you clean and paint from what I read?
No, this is only clean, this is basically, they come in there with a hydrochloric solution. It's basically it's a jet sprayer, if you wanna say, a jetting process, and they clean from all the way from on top, all the way down to the bottom. Plant 2 on Plainfield Road, if you were to look at it, we get some more of the mildew there just because of the condensation during the summer.
Okay, because, it says additionally for extra cost, they will assess and repair any small paint damage, so
Yeah, I'm not concerned about the.
That's not-
Yeah, the
okay.
paint damage, the answer is no. We got zinc coating on there, and I'm confident enough there's no.
this doesn't create okay.
Any questions on 4231, maintenance water system budget? Okay. Moving on to the next page, 197. We'll start at the top. Postage. Then on to quality control, 4241. Then rent, equipment, supplies, office, supplies, operation. Any questions there? 4263, training and education. Telephone, uniforms, utilities, vehicle, gas and oil. Looking at the entire page of 197. Any questions? Okay, we'll move on to page 198, starting at the top, contractual services. Audit, consulting, professional services. Okay. Leak detection, data processing. Okay. 4340, DuPage Water Commission. Then we have janitorial services and forestry. Any questions there? Under contractual services?
Alderwoman?
Yes.
Just in regards to the forestry, I'm gonna be presenting that a little bit later, but we have some adjustments to make, and they're actually reductions. They don't affect the fertilization for this portion, but they will affect the other categories in public works.
Thank you. Okay. Then we will move on to capital purchases, 4810. There's backup on pages 239 and 240. Dan, you have anything to add about that?
The one I'd like to really add is on the insertion valve equipment. As we're looking at a lot of the valves and how old they are in the actual system, this machine, and this is gonna be an IGA with the village of Willow Springs. So it's a piece of equipment that basically allows you to take a valve, basically a 12-inch valve, and when I say a 12-inch valve, for example, these valves weigh about 200 pounds or so, 250 pounds, and this machine gives us the ability basically to drill the pipe and insert this valve, and without not doing major reconstruction. Once that valve is put in, we can isolate the old valve between the two, one valve here and one valve, say, down the block, have a scheduled shutdown, and remove that valve out of the system in entirety. What we've been finding over the last, probably couple of years is some of the valves that, through the valve exercising program, when we shut them, we don't know if they're shut. They stop. We just had an incident where we thought they were opened. One valve was opened, and it wasn't. The only reason that we found out that it wasn't open because residents were hearing a pounding noise, which is basically referred to as water hammering. So we went out there and we had to basically dig up that one. So that's just a quick example, but I think it's a great idea here to partner up with Willow Springs. They have the truck. We're gonna have that IGA coming back to city council that when and if who needs it, we'll have our own valves. The truck will probably be stored at Public Works, because their Public Works, they have a little more room than we do. We'll be able to go pick it up and so on and so forth.
Great.
Willow Springs or Western Springs?
Western Springs, excuse me. It's the spring, I know that.
Any questions on capital improvements?
Dan, the testing, the soil? did you
Yes,
think
I was
that
gonna- yes.
Yeah, you and I talked since last week on that. What's your thoughts? You
Correct,
think-
basically, we put a number in there before we had any real numbers. Originally, I put 15,000 in there. We don't need no more than 5,000. I spoke to TSC, Testing Services Corporation, who we already have an awarded quote for FYE 27 here, and he informed me that they would charge us approximately $200 to basically have these cores that'll go down 5 to 7 feet to determine how corrosive the soil is. So, and the goal is to, take the hot areas that we've identified through the water main report that we recently put together, whether it's in Alderman Belzic's ward, Alderman Legansky's ward, or whatever the case is, to take these hot points and to see how corrosive the soil is. So this will give us another planning tool for future water main removal and replacement.
And if we find it corrosive, what's the plan of action then?
That's where we're gonna go and take that and see if the plan means, all right, how far
With
is?
the different material?
Right, exactly.
Any more questions on capital improvements? Okay, moving on to equipment, 4815. There's several items in this category. We'll start with 241, new Grant truck EV. I think we already kind of,
Did you want me to expound on it anymore? I think I provided, so there's backup that Brian had also provided, as everybody understands.
we talked a lot about that last week.
Right.
Is there more questions on that today?
Well, I thought we were gonna didn't you ask for like a comparison of the gas versus the electric
Right.
and the net costs?
Correct. When I stated the cost last budget meeting, they were overinflated. You can see at our cost for this participation is
$149,197.
compared to a gasoline truck is roughly 225,000. And that pricing is from already last year. So is it gonna be 240 with EPA regs that come down the line? Potentially. So there is a savings.
Are we locked in on the 149?
Yes. The only part that we're not locked in is on the snowplow package itself,
We
which
don't
is
even know whether we're doing.
correct.
And the vehicle that we have to retire, what year was that, 2009?
It's already actually retired. We just pulled it off of auction because of the timing of the grant.
Okay.
So it's basically sitting. We were using it, but it's getting to the point where we're not gonna put any maintenance funds into it.
Cool.
Ready to cut in half.
Right, literally cut in half and put a hole in the engine.
Is there more discussion on the truck and any more lingering questions regarding that?
So, not to beat a dead horse, but in the end, we're gonna save about 60 grand versus getting, or more than that versus getting a diesel one, right?
Correct.
And this way
More
we're
than
gonna.
60.
Okay, and this way we're gonna know exactly how well these EVs work.
Correct, and we're trying to make this, call it the poster child with Peterbilt and the upfitter at the same time. So there might be some more benefits that'll be coming down the line. I don't have that final pricing yet, and again, we reached out to them just this week again.
The charging station would be.
Included.
Okay.
Would it be possible to retrofit it for the plow in a year? I mean, drive it for a year or do you wanna do it right when you get it?
We probably have to do it right when we get it because of the newer system. It's electric, and the way they have to build the frame gets actually expanded. We went to the R&D, research and development area in Elmhurst that they're doing it, so it's, they basically, the truck's a little bigger, longer.
So what happens if this becomes a big flop and doesn't work for us? Can we sell this thing off?
Can't answer that question for you.
Well,
Okay.
define flop, I think, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Doesn't work well enough.
Without the plow, you
Doesn't
mean,
keep
even
up,
without-
doesn't charge up fast enough,
Well-
doesn't do this in the cold, doesn't do that in the heat.
I think we're
I've heard nightmares on these electric trucks. Every time I Google it, I find someone who's gotten rid of them.
keep in mind, right now, we're not obligated to anything. It's in the budget. We already took the city council did make the motion to at least pursue this. At the end of the day, when we it's still gonna come back to city council with the truck with the Charger, that's part of the grant. The option will be the snowplow. So again, it will have the opportunity to be vetted again.
In the end, we're gonna earmark this, and it's still gonna go start with municipal services, right?
Correct, 100%.
What's a charging station worth?
What's it worth?
Nancy, didn't you say you were familiar with some company?
200,000.
Was using electric trucks like this? How was that working out, John?
Thank you, Mayor. I mean, yeah, I 2 years ago, I would have been with Alderman Gustafson. We had terrible, experience with it, but when we found out that they had the wrong charging station, it's working great. And these are tractor trailers, I mean, pulling 80,000 pound, 45,000 pound loads of product. The key is you have to use them a lot to really get the benefit, I think, of the savings, but.
Right, and they're gonna be workhorses on our end, and with all due respect, Alderman Gustafson, if you can forward me,
Yeah,
what
I'll
you've
forward you
read
some
on
of these
that.
things. One of them that started a fire and almost burned down the whole damn building.
Well, that could happen with a regular truck, that happened to us too.
Well, it was sitting there in the middle of the night.
So what happened to us, sitting in the middle of the night, all of a sudden there was an officer there that happened to come by there and our building was
The
on
heat gets
fire.
bad. I mean,
Is
the heat
there
gets really
any
bad, yeah.
other
I just,
companies or municipalities that have been awarded this grant or have purchased like a reference to like individuals or companies that have purchased the truck like that we're gonna be getting?
For our use, the answer is no.
Okay,
Well, again, once we get some solid pricing, I think every municipality that's, has been awarded is basically in the same boat. They have certain pricing, but we are an exception, and there might be others that are exceptions. So we will, once we have everything from solidified with Peterbilt, then we'll take the opportunity and ask Peterbilt, who else is doing this on this level?
great. Any other questions on the truck, the EV truck, 241? Okay, if not, we'll move on to 250, which is the,
Alderwoman, if we can go back to 4815 on the hydro seeder, we got Half Streets, there's an increase in price, and I need to.
we're not there yet.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, I'm still at the top with, I was gonna go down to storage container. We're at the top of equipment, so hydro seeders at the bottom. I just was gonna stay in order so that
Yes,
people's
yes,
packets.
my fault.
So 241, we're gonna move on to 250, page 250, which is the 40-foot storage container and lot improvement.
Is that a new one?
No, that's a carryover from last year.
No, is it a new container?
Oh, no, it's not gonna be a new container.
Is that a used?
Yes,
Okay, because I know there's a used market for those.
yes, 100%.
So that is a used container?
Yes.
Okay, because because 25,000 seemed kind of high to me.
Well, it's good. It's gonna be for a couple of them, not just one.
Well, it's just storage container, I thought it was just one container. And I know you're doing 12.5 between the different departments, but
Right?
that's more than one container?
Yes, it is. I wanna say it's 3 off the head. Yeah, it should say storage containers and rear lot improvements, and that includes the improvements.
Because it says purchasing a storage container, so I thought that was just
It's a
one.
couple of them. I know,
Okay.
right, it
Okay.
does say that in there. But I know we did get actual quotes, and also there's some, infrastructure work, whether it's dirt removal, so on and so forth.
Because we're putting decorations that are sitting outside all the time, it's not like we need a Cadillac in terms of a container, right? I mean,
Agreed.
we can get by with a Chevy or whatever.
Agreed, 100%.
Okay.
how many ton truck is this? Is this a 3/4? What is this?
I'm sorry, where you at?
Where are you on the truck now?
Back to the truck.
9 ton, it should be a 9-ton truck, it's a larger
9 ton?
truck, yes.
Guys, if we skip around, let's go back, let's finish talking about what we're talking and then ask to go back to another one, because I feel like a couple times tonight we've had like multiple conversations going on at once. So, okay, any more questions on the truck, Eric?
No, I'm just getting it so I can Google this stuff.
Okay. Any questions on the storage container?
Yeah, it looks like it says they're $4,300 each, so.
Right, with the site improvements, where they were gonna go, was they're gonna be dug into the actual, into a
What
hill.
I'm saying is.
Here's the
25,000
4,300 on
makes
page
more
251, and then it talks about like another 498 to deliver.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay. No Amazon Prime on those?
Which ones?
The storage
I
containers.
don't know, if I look at UPS, what they're cutting now, maybe I can get some UPS
I tell you.
or an Amazon trailer.
Just take a little jaunt over to 76th Avenue there in Willow
Yep.
Springs.
100%.
Okay, moving on to Public Works Office Heating and Air Conditioning, the split, number 254. Any questions on that? Mini split heating and cooling systems? Okay. Any other questions? And then we're gonna hop down to 259, the truck replacement. Ted, I know you love to talk about trucks. Nothing?
That's really nothing.
I'm starting to catch you off guard there.
for it, that's
This is a smaller truck, there's really, it's just a replacement is what it boils down to.
I like that title, Dan, partner cutoff.
Yep. It's actually a pretty powerful saw.
Partner cutoff saw. Is that different than a sawzall? Is that?
Oh, yeah, yeah, these cut, steel pipes and in the grounds, concrete pipes.
Okay, hydro seeder trailer replacement. 272. I know you were gonna say something before and I told you to hold on a
Yes,
minute.
yes,
So
thank
please,
you.
the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Again, we just recently got quotes, there's some updated pricing on this, so it's basically an increase on this account as well as the streets. 3,000 per account, so this should now say 23,000, and I'd be more than happy to expound on what this is and does.
Does anyone want Dan to expound on what it is and does?
You already did that on streets. I remember.
Yeah, I do too. Okay? So we don't need to
Pension?
Sorry.
be repetitive. Okay? Okay, any more questions on equipment? Account 4815. Okay, if not, we'll move on to water meters.
Hydrant meters is something new. Why are we putting meters on hydrants?
We basically rent them out. So it is a revenue source, and what it is there's vendors that are
I got it. I thought we were putting them out like on all the hydrants that the city has. Got it.
Okay, transfers and debt retire. Brian, do you have anything to say about those two items?
No, we previously had 2 bond payments in the budget, and one is now paid off, so this is the remaining bond in the water fund.
Okay, that's good news. Any more questions on the water fund? Okay. We will wrap that, and then we will move on to special services and motor fuel. Sorry, I just dropped my pen. Yeah, all good. Okay. Starting on page 274, motor fuel tax budget. With the summary and correspondence on page 275.
On 274, it's probably
Yes.
a question more for Julie. Overtime, we're looking at 50,000 for next year. We've already got 92,000 as of the beginning of February for this year. Is that just your allocation with the streets and?
It's just how much you decided to.
Right, that's what we have in there right now, Mike, and a lot of opportunities on this MFT expenditure. We try to put as much as we can in salaries. In regards to that, at the end of the year, well, actually coming up now, within the next month, there might be some account adjustments. There may be too much in there. Sometimes it's difficult.
Okay.
Alderwoman, I'm sorry, one question, Dan,
Yes.
we didn't talk about this, but if you look on 274 and you look out into the third-year forecast, it shows about a 1.3 million balance. At some point a few years ago, we had a pretty good balance in that fund, so we were able to use that to offset some of the road costs. So again, possibility if we get to there at some point, Dan, right?
That's
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah, okay.
Dan, what's our salt going up to this year?
I feel pretty good about all the additives now and with different I'll call them chemicals for better sense of terminology. I see the same price, or it's gonna be, we're waiting for the next price to come out here. Actually, we just awarded that one, it's gonna be close to the same thing, if not a couple cents less.
About $77 a ton.
Okay,
Yeah, it's close to where we're at now, it might be, it's a little less.
okay, so we're gonna be going up from 112 to 184,000 and
As
so.
far as, I'm sorry, where you at, Ted? I apologize.
We've had a lot left in storage carryover, I think, from the last couple of years. That's why
274, I'm
I think he's
looking.
noticing the increase.
Correct, correct. If we're going to normal winters, that's where we should be.
Okay.
Last year, almost 3 years, actually, we've had minimal snowstorms, probably 10, probably 11, so in other words, half
Right.
of what we typically have. So we were able to load the bin up. This year was another anomaly, I shouldn't say anomaly, but for storage until it started snowing. So, we'll look at the opportunities and adjust it as possible.
I think at the beginning of the year, didn't we also have to go back and purchase to get up to our minimum from the year?
Correct.
So we really had extra on
Okay.
hand. So
Just wanna make
That's
sure.
why this year's is really lower than you would normally expect.
Gotcha.
Any more questions on 4249, salt? Okay, moving down the page, on page 275, 4257, supplies and contractual services.
Sorry, Alderman.
Yes,
Can we back up for a minute, back to the salaries? We have to take a look at the benefits portion of it.
okay,
The Social Security and Medicare and IMRF are off slightly, and we could adjust those. That's due to the overtime. It wasn't calculated to consider that $50,000 in overtime. So we'll have those numbers updated, but it's de minimis, really.
3,500,
Yeah, 3,500. I'm sorry, Julie.
only about 3,500 total for all three of them.
okay.
Yeah,
So it's
3,500
gonna
is-
increase 3,500.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for pointing that out. We'll go back down to contractual services and capital purchases. Any questions in those two areas?
One second.
Absolutely.
For capital purposes. Sorry, give me a second. Just put a note on here.
Dan, streetlights, that's still 4 a year, we average?
As far as
Budget?
it's been averaging about 3, but this line item is not for that. We have that in the streets.
Oh,
This is
my
strictly
apologies.
for energy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on streetlights on the 4840, budgeting 20,000 for next year. This year, this year we budgeted 20 also, but we're already at about 40, about double what we budgeted.
We can take a look at that. Yeah, there's really no rhyme or reason. And we could do that, because that's contracted out. IDOT has a policy where and let me check that, it might be a reason for that, Mike, because IDOT has a policy in regards to anything that's over 20,000 requires a contract, okay? An IDOT approved contract. So I'm not sure if this contract that we have is an IDOT approved contract. There's a format. So that may be the reason, but we can find out with Brian.
It's more if you're okay with the 20,000 for next year.
Yeah, because I know there's funds in the public works, streets to cover it as well.
It's fine then.
Anything else, Dan, on motor fuel tax budget?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Brian, anything else? No. Okay, any other questions, council? Okay, then we will move on to SSA area, number 1, fund budget.
Streets. Streetlights.
Any questions on the special service area? Dan, anything?
No, and this is, obviously, we're running a balance, and depending on when the actual work takes place, this balance will be reduced quite significantly, especially with some of the burns that we have scheduled. And again, and I'm speaking in regards to the Terra Hill subdivisions. The last couple of years, we were unable to do one scheduled burn, and that was also increased for the contract this year or for the next 5 years. So that we're gonna try to make up or, kind of expand on the burns.
Right, on a personal note, living across the street from one of the areas that's been, delayed, it's in desperate need. So hopefully they can, we've got the funds there for it and the
Yes.
tax dollars that go into it.
Yes.
So I do think hopefully they can make it happen.
Yeah, and again, from 15 years ago, the management and the maintenance that we have done in conjunction with everybody else is really, there's been a lot of savings that have been realized.
Oh, it's been a great partnership. Okay.
Alderwoman, I don't know if we mentioned, we might have earlier, but a special service area, basically, in the Terra Hill area, they pay a special property tax above and beyond what would be paid elsewhere. And that's, special service area property tax is what we're talking about now, goes to the city specifically for those, what Dan's talking
Right.
about, yes.
Right.
Any questions on special service area? Okay. Then why don't we, since we've wrapped all those up, why don't we go back to the outstanding items and Brian's budget memo from February 23rd that was received?
Excuse me, Alderwoman.
Yes.
Prior to that, there's a couple more items that I have for the budget. I just want to mention that
Absolutely.
are not mentioned in Brian's report. First of all, the holiday permit, I think everyone is aware of that we spoke of the holiday permit back at an earlier city council meeting in regards to certain things that would be, I'll call it discounted or not charged for. Those include roofs, fences, driveways, walkways, patios to a certain degree. That all equates to approximately about $20,000. That $20,000 is all internal, meaning that there's no outside inspections. And this was where we would not charge residents for next year. We did vet this with the Municipal Services Committee this past Monday. So they'll be coming forward for the city council. But again, we just wanted to let you know what, to make sure that there was no other consideration for this and we had the value on it.
And Dan, that would be looking to start before the fiscal year.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, we'd be starting that
So it'll be
March, a
yes,
little bit
for
ahead of
spring
time,
people.
right, March till the 20, till April of next year. Not 20,
He said, these are permits that don't require inspections.
they require inspections, but it's in-house, it's not consulted, so it costs us zero.
Gotcha. In-house, okay, thank you.
Any questions, further questions on the permit holiday? Okay, yes, Dan.
I had two more items, and we just had all the information put together, and Brian, I apologize, I didn't have an opportunity to talk to you about this. It's two drainage projects. The first one is on Sawyer. The one on Sawyer is related to a actual code violation. As we looked at it, I'll be real short about it, there's two residences there that basically discharge to the right of way, or the water gets to the right of way, into the roadway, causes icing.
Yeah.
We've had these situations before. In this particular case, the residents have nowhere else to put this water. Now, again, it involves city infrastructure, and this is a couple projects that we've done earlier on Farmingdale, further up, and I believe the other one was Sawyer as well. So that was the first one. With the resident participation, I am looking at 31,000. So that will be, again, a new project, and I was gonna either A, look at the opportunity to put that into either the street fund, the 8215, or I'll speak to Brian, we'll put it in the capital. But again, this is a project that was kind of festering since earlier January.
We thought it was just a code enforcement.
Correct.
We come to find out that it's really not, correct?
Right, we couldn't determine where the ice was coming from, if it was our problem, so on and so forth. So with this combined effort, there still has to be some resident participation. So obviously, we have not had the opportunity to put the letter together. I wanted to get the numbers out there. So the numbers were just kind of put together this afternoon. The second one is similar, and it's at 8113 Farmingdale up to Portsmouth. And with all due respect, Alderman Legansky brought this to me, in passing about a month ago or so, and we never had the opportunity to, really look at it. Once we started looking at it, it was determined, hey, there's nowhere for this water to go. And the problem is that both of these locations, water travels from the back to the front of the roadway. So in many instances, on this block, there's those, I'll call them bastardized opportunities where they have nowhere to go.
We actually thought both of those were water main breaks,
Correct, yes.
and we come to find out that they weren't. It's just,
And that one's in the amount of 45,000, so I'm looking at an increase of 75,000 now. Again, while it's an increase on that budget of 75,000, we have allocated funds that we don't have an inventory in streets yet, 100%. So there may be a reduction based on what happens in the spring in the future inventory. Like I said last time, I would be reducing that whole drainage project funds by approximately 30,000 less from the streets next
Would
year.
that be resident participation as well?
Yes, and again, it's not 100% sure, but I did not want these types of hazards to be continued into next year if we do have that resident participation.
Okay. Any more questions for Dan on these two new drainage projects? Okay,
Thank you.
and was there a third item or just those two?
That's it.
Okay. I'm gonna turn it over to Brian, as it relates to, the, revisit of some of the items from last week and his memo, of, Monday.
Most of these items, they're just noting the changes we made, and some of these were unfinished from the last meeting. I think the first one here, we did talk about updating the videos, and we didn't get a clear conclusion on that. We have both a residential video now and a separate video that was for businesses. We have a price in there to do both, and Al did those for us last time, and we have a price, but there is a chance he could use some of that footage. Maybe that would reduce the price. We would have to get a formal, an updated quote from him if we were to use some of that. But as of now, the price what was that? I'm sorry, what was the amount? The amount proposed would be for both the videos, assuming we didn't use much of what was already in the video. So I think that the last budget
I guess, and
meeting-
what's changed on the residential video? Like, what's different? I mean, I understand the business one, businesses have changed and, but what's?
I have not watched the residential video for some time. We had in our strategic plan to update these,
Right,
so I have not looked at those
Okay.
yet to see what updating, if any, those would need.
yeah, I'd still like to see, like, what, I know we talked a little bit last week, but like, if we couldn't just have one video that would hit on all the points needed for anybody, like, coming, that we have one video that features our community and is, gonna get messaging out for anyone, from tourism to business to residential.
Well, that's another, this is another item over 5,000. We would have
Yeah.
to, if the council includes it, we would have to come back and re-review, I think, all of these questions, because it's gonna take a little more checking to see where we're at and answer those questions.
Any more discussion on videos from anybody? I know, I'm looking at the top of the page where it said, it talked about the telephone reduction and then the electronic recycling event.
I missed the electronic recycling event, yes, sorry, I went out of order. So we did talk, the city council talked about that at the last meeting. We had previously included that service in the draft budget. When we talked last year, we had talked about doing it every other year. And last week, the city council asked for an alternative of maybe bringing it a dumpster, some public property, a dumpster 2 or 3, and letting residents drop it off. And I think, since then, we did talk about, it's still a bit hard for some seniors probably to get some of those things over here, the electronics, they're bulkier. So again, it's up for the council to determine if they want to include this in the budget. I know Alderman Stompanato in his memo today, he did address it and is in favor of putting that back in or keeping that in the budget for next year.
I think one of the things he brought up that was also indicated last week, I think by Lisa Clem, was like, this is something we didn't do this current year, and that we told people we would be doing it next year. So I feel like we've set an expectation to the residents that we would be doing it again because we skipped a year. And there has been calls into City Hall asking about when it's going to be.
Correct.
Anyone else have an opinion on an electronic recycling event?
I don't have a problem keeping it in this time, but if we probably should look to the future, and I mean, would it make more sense to, and again, I'm trying to look up, what did we budget for this? Because I'm looking at your memo and I'm trying to flip flop.
9,700.
So if we could do it for 4,000 for someone to come, it said 3,000, but I'm adding 1,000 to it. You could do it every year, and have an event, you know, say we've decided to switch starting in 27 and have it, you know, a one-day event going forward. I think people's expectations, they wouldn't have the same expectations, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Tom, a drop-off event, are you talking?
Yeah, I'm talking about,
A drop-off.
I think for this year, based on the fact that people do think it's gonna happen this year, I think we should keep it. But going forward, we may wanna consider having a yearly event as a drop-off. It would still be slightly less.
One thing we didn't really look at all of the events, but there are a number of other electronic drop-off events in the area. I don't know, they probably don't take TVs or monitors, but a lot of the other things. So eventually, when we get to that point, we would certainly have to look around and see what others are in the area too.
Well, yeah, Burridge has one that takes everything, but they do charge for the monitors.
Correct.
But
Yes.
they take it from residents and non-residents, and they're open 5 days a week.
Yeah, I've gone over
I
there.
go there a lot,
Yeah.
that's where I always go.
Me too.
I'm maybe educating our residents that it exists might
Right.
not be a bad
Right.
idea.
I know a lot of people had, not a lot, I had at least 3 people. There was, used to be there was paint, where to get rid of paint. So, but now DuPage County's finally addressed that. So, but it was, a lot of people didn't know what to do with paint and they wanted to be environmentally conscious of disposing of it. So, but the county now has something in place for that.
So again, looking through the list here, most of these were just corrections we made or adjustments we made.
Okay.
They aren't things that we need more direction on, so unless there's questions on the changes we made, that would be it. I did have, again, looking at Ralph's email in, he did talk about the holiday decoration budget, about possibly looking at that, and he didn't have any specific recommendations, but if the council can read that paragraph, and if they have any questions, probably Ralph, he could probably bring it up at the next council meeting if he wants to ask the council or has anything specific to present.
That's a lot less than we've had in the last couple of years.
That's correct, yes. Basically, it's fill-ins again. Great program, a lot of great feedback. And at best, this is just additional lighting. I don't wanna say it, call it replacement yet, but additional lighting, I'll call it at this point.
Maybe some water.
Water, definitely, yes. Water, fire, and ice, yes.
I have the Fire and Ice Festival.
Ralph did talk about something a little bit different, talking about something at the clock tower, maybe for taking pictures for various holidays. I don't know exactly, but obviously it's a beautiful area and there are probably people that would want to take pictures there and.
That's a great idea, because you always get the DBA, April, and maybe get like a Santa Claus thing and Santa Claus theme.
Some things
Pictures?
like that, but there's nothing specific in terms of dollar amounts.
Just trying to spread the wealth.
So Brian did provide us with backup for several of the things that were listed last week as follow-ups and open-ended. Does anyone have any questions on any of those items listed in the memo? Yes,
Thank
Jerry.
you, Mayor. Hey, again, I know you mentioned those reductions in forestry. Are they the ones listed here?
They should, yes.
Wasn't an additional one, you said something came up that it was these two listed here?
Bear with me here, I'm not,
Jerry, I'm sorry, what was that last
it
question?
was on forestry.
Under streets, in your memo,
Dan mentioned that he was gonna have a reduction in forestry. I wasn't sure if it was these two that are listed. Just
And
because of a bid.
See that, Alderman Luganski?
I'm sorry, Dan, what?
Want more explanation on that? I'm sorry, or?
No, I just wanted, was there an additional one that you were talking about, or? the
They're all
ones that are
listed in here, the 4350, which was the forestry, so basically it's being reduced total by 14,733. The other one was just an estimated,
No, that's the one you mentioned earlier. I know you said there was gonna be a reduction in forestry. It's this one.
it's in, yes, I'm
Okay.
sorry, yeah, that was misunderstanding.
any other outstanding items as it relates to all the budgets?
I have nothing.
Dan?
I have nothing further.
Okay, Mayor?
I have nothing.
Nothing? Treasurer Corn? Okay. So, with that being said, I don't think we have anything else. Do we have anything else we anticipate discussing on Monday?
Not at this point. If anything does come up, I could address it under administrator's report, but at this point, the council's gone through everything and there's really nothing else to add.
Great, and if there's any council members that, something comes to them later, please, address it prior to the meeting so that like staff can be prepared or, we can, instead of just, bringing it up, if it comes up at that minute at the top of your head, but just so that we can give staff proper notice to investigate and prepare, give us more backup. But otherwise, I think we're in good shape. I think we've had very productive meetings, and if there's nothing else, I think we will adjourn.
Just real quick, one
Yes.
comment in respect to our software, our proposed software, since we've been dealing with this company for the last year and a half, and we're still gonna vet things, we may have to bring it over to the March 23rd municipal services meeting, followed by the April meeting, just due to their quarterly price increases, which will have an effect if we do not have that opportunity.
Okay, so we might need to be on the lookout for that sooner versus later.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for letting us know. Otherwise, we have a city council meeting Monday, March 2nd. So we'll adjourn and thank you, everybody, for your time.
Thank you.